calling on all small businesses out there. Let your voices be heard. Let's make this video a memorial for the masses to take notice. We go through a lot of topics on this. I want your topics, your comments, your views on your reaction to each and every one of them. Let me know. Let the whole world know. How do you think the SBA treated the final withdrawal of the COVID-19 EIDL Loan program? How were you treated? What were your correspondence and encounters like? Whether good or bad, I want it all here today. Take this time to let the government know today, right now, where it succeeded your business and where it has failed your business. Let them know if you feel like this video is giving you the truth or is it regurgitation of systematic vocabulary that they use to appease the small businesses. From the beginning to the end, let me know if you agree or disagree with what they're saying and what I'm saying. Paint a picture to move going forward with the EIDL program of how it will help them move the next generation up for the next EIDL program, if there ever has to be one like this, God forbid. I want so many comments on this video for them to read, to give them your perspective so they can come here and take notes to what the small businesses really think. I want your perspective. I want your comments, your honest to goodness truth. Real small businesses are going through and what they went through with this program, how the handling of the EIDL loans has affected you. You set the bar here. You and we set the bar here for the future generations and for the future elected politicians. Let's blow this video up with your comments and your small business knowledge on what to do with this process and how this process has affected you. What they're talking about, is it true? Is it accurate? Is it just a wash? Let me know. We're gonna let this one fly. Let it be the staple to how they look at us and how you perceive them. You trust them. This is going to be interesting. Together we stand, divided we fall. I love each and every one of you. Who told you the well was dry? Not this guy. Not this guy. If you put in for an EIDL loan, then you should be getting your EIDL loan. So there are many people out there that say the loans are exhausted, the loans are exhausted. You're just clickbait. But I've got proof today that we were not just clickbait. Myself, along with Jason McElhone, who I know has been accused of the same thing I've said, is if you put in for an EIDL loan increase, the money's there. We are seeing people getting that money, and people are saying no. They're saying that you just want clicks. Came out today in the Senate and during the committee hearing. Yes, everybody that has put in for that EIDL loan increase, and the money is there waiting for them. They just got to sign their documents. We have been saying this all along. The SBA has made some mistakes. They've made some big ones. I've been doing the math on this. Our boy Jason, trysmallbiz.com. Over his side, he's been doing the math on this. The money's there. The money's there. They did not run through this. We've been saying this all along, and you guys are going to love this video if you watch my last one. We're going to go over this with Patrick Kelly, Ben Cardin, and the senators, and we're going to give you guys the tools that you need to get your loans. Watch this video. Stay tuned, and somebody say, hey, I still want my 10K.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Well, it's good to see you today on the Speak and See Show. Once again, like, subscribe, click that notification button, and we are going in on this. Guys, I'm going to go over this video with you just piece by piece. I pieced it together. I condensed it and put it into a perspective where we can talk about this and how you will be going about getting your EIDL loan approved that has been in reconsideration for who knows how long. And if you've been in there for a long time, fear not. We have some answers here. And these are directly from the Senate committee hearing that went on this morning. Enjoy. Now, I don't know how many of y'all remember Homie the Clown, but there used to be this guy named Homie the Clown, right? And when people were talking to Homie the Clown and he heard something that was just totally wrong, he had his sock filled up with other socks. I don't know what it was in it, but Homie don't play that. It was like Homie don't play that. Homie didn't play that. That's Ben Cardin today. Ben Cardin is Homie the Clown. Homie don't play that. So let's just go right into it, and we'll go over this piece by piece, bit by bit, so that you guys can know what's going on with your EIDL loans. And this is kind of the meat and potatoes of how you're going to go about getting your EIDL loan finished to completion. No clickbait here. This is the actual facts that we've been telling you the whole time, and now it's just verification. Jason McElhone over trysmallbiz.com. Follow us on Twitter, too. You'll probably get a lot of good information if you're a small business. So here we go, guys. We're going to go right into it. Ben Cardin at the Committee for Small Business hearing on the SBA on EIDL loans. Let's go ahead and go into it, Ben.
SBA basically closed the process for new applications. Here's where the confusion and frustration comes down on the winding down of the program. And here's where we are really baffled as to the way and information that we have received from the SBA.
So there we go. There's Ben Cardin. He's baffled with it. But he did start with the SBA closed down for EIDL loans for reconsideration. So he did say that. Why did he say that? Well, because the SBA was giving us hints that they're giving emails and stuff out to people saying, look, the funds are exhausted. There's no more money. And here's where we get to the point where, yes, there is more money. And even the SBA moves forward by saying, yeah, there's more money and they're going to get paid. So let's keep going.
On the winding down of the program. And here's where we are really baffled as to the way and information that we have received from the SBA. First, on April 28th of this year, the SBA said that funding was exhausted. On May 6th, they set the deadline for loan modifications, appeals, and denials for reconsideration. Yet, on April the 11th, we were informed by the SBA that it had $1.3 billion of transferred funds from the American Rescue Plan and $1.2 billion available in regards to canceled loans. So we didn't understand that they gave the explanation on April the 28th that the SBA, that funding had been exhausted.
So there we have it, where Ben Cardin is saying, you guys were telling everybody you're out of money, but you're telling us that you had money, so we didn't quite understand why you're saying the funds are exhausted when they're not.
So what I'm confused about, we have a large number of small business owners that are in the process with their SBA EIDL loan, receiving information from the SBA that they've exhausted funding and that all workable files have been made, and yet they haven't been notified in regards to their individual cases. Yet, in June, on our staff call with Administrator Kelly, we were informed that $800 million remained in the EIDL program. There's frustration and anger out there.
Yes, there is, Ben. There's frustration and anger when somebody tells you that there is more money, but they're telling the business owner trying to get the money that there's not any. Yes, there is frustration. Let's move on with this.
We have 41,000 applicants who have never received determinations. We have 125 applicants that have been approved that haven't received their funds.
125,000.
I can tell you, I talk to my state workers all the time that handle the calls from the small business community. They're my frontline workers. And they're small business owners that are really frustrated. They've gotten inconsistent information from the SBA. They believe their applications have never been litigated, never been completed. And they want to know why. They want a straight answer.
A straight answer would be good. And we have been making a lot of calls, so we're glad that he listens to that staff. He's got an amazing staff over there in his office. I do have to say that for those that are out there working for him. You guys and girls are really amazing over there. We would like to see the policy map removed, however. But we're just going to continue on with these loans right now. And yeah, we're frustrated.
I'm going to ask consent to put into the record letters that were written to Administrator Guzman on May 6, 2022 from Senator Van Hollen and myself, and July 15, 2022 from a group of senators.
Now, I've gone over that letter that they've sent on a couple videos prior to this, so you know, if you haven't watched that, a letter was sent by a multitude of senators. I believe there's 58 of them on board with this, saying that the SBA failed to carry out the funds as they were supposed to be appropriated to do. And that's the letter he's talking about right now.
Headed by Senator Cornyn and myself in regards to our concerns as to why certain information was given to our constituents when we were told that there was money available. To our knowledge, those 41,000 small businesses have not been informed as to their status. So they're sitting out there hoping that they're going to get a positive response, but they want a response. that are in that status. And then we had 125,000 small businesses that thought they were going to get their funds, thought they had been approved for the funds and haven't gotten their funds. And then they get notices that there's no funds available, but yet we've been told that there is money there. So the funds are there. So it seems like they're not getting accurate information, which is extremely frustrating. And they call our office, and they call your office, and they call every senator in this country with legitimate concerns. So can you clarify the numbers for us?
So first, I just want to start up top with the 125,000 first, so we can address that. The 125,000 folks have obligated funds to them. They could close those today with the assistance of an SBA district office.
Stop right there. The 125,000 of you that have been approved, he's saying you can close that today by calling your district office. You can close today by calling your district office. So that's your local SBA office. Call them immediately. Because if this is what they're saying is accurate, then that is the first step that you need to be taking.
The assistance of an SBA district office directly themselves with the call center for the specific COVID EIDL program. But that money is theirs. We will not cancel those funds. So at their discretion, each of those 125,000 can close that loan. So I
need a mic drop. Mic drop. That's what I've been saying all along. The money that you have put in for your loan, as far as getting approved and going up, that money that you put in there for what they've offered you is not gone anywhere. Mic drop. It's still there.
welcome the opportunity to make sure that anybody in any of the offices is clear that those folks have money and can be funded.
And those funds are there?
Yes.
So there's no problem with lack of funds?
Correct. We cannot extend loans to folks who have not.
I love the way Ben Cardin does that. So he's saying, so the funds are there. There's no problem with lack of funds, because the whole time the SBA has been saying, well, don't have funds. Funds are exhausted. Lack of funds. Can't do it. But watch Ben Cardin when he goes and asks this guy that and pushes the button. Watch this. This is funny.
Yes.
There's no problem with lack of funds.
Correct.
Look at his face. Oh, one more time. Look at him. Like,
we cannot extend loans to folks who have not paid their taxes.
Big statement there, ladies and gentlemen. 2019 taxes. I get a lot of people that had gotten with me that said, hey, I haven't done my I've never did my 2019 taxes. Can I amend them? You're going back pretty far to do taxes to get paid money something so that they couldn't corroborate whether you were in business or not. If you didn't pay your taxes in 2019 you're out. Point blank. Don't want to sugarcoat that.
We cannot extend loans to folks who have not paid their taxes.
How many EIDL applications are still pending where there hasn't been a finite answer given by the Small Business Administration?
So, Chairman Cardin, but in the sense that we can make a reasonable reassurance of repayment from the cash flow of the business and verify that they filed.
So here's a very important key issue that he's saying, like, if we can approve these loans, this is what has to be done. First of all, you have had to pay your 2019 taxes. This is what they go by.
Their taxes. We cannot do that. So first off, yes, not filing your taxes is fraud. Yes. Mm-hmm. So it is a criminal offense. For this particular program, the 2019 return is the return that we're leveraging. Those returns needed to be filed, even with extensions, by the fall of 2020 for the public sector to, for example, originate loans with a 570 credit score, which.
Part two, you had to have a 570 credit score. A lot of people would say 600 or 620. It was 570, which is almost unheard of giving a loan at 570, but that's what the SBA was looking at. 570 credit score, filed tax returns from 2019.
Of course, in the private sector would be difficult to get. On this particular issue, though, on whether or not you filed, and the fact that the increase request that you were seeking is not supported by the tax information or the financial information that you provided, I believe that we need to draw the line there, and I've recommended to the administrator that that's what we do.
So with regard to this particular nonprofit, then the answer is no, because they didn't file. They either filed the 990 or they didn't, and if they didn't file it, this allows their increased request. That's my conclusion. They just need to know one way or the other, I'd say.
Yeah.
Good answer. Then tell them. Then tell those small businesses out there, sorry, you did not apply you didn't file for 2019 taxes. Could they at least have done that for small businesses, just to let them know, look, if you didn't file 2019, don't even try it, because you might have gotten it in 2020 when they weren't asking for this, but the bar has been raised a little bit because of all the fraud. Now we're going by 2019. We need to see your 2019 taxes. If you did not provide that or do not have that, I'm sorry to say it, but you're out.
Certainly for a program that had been open well over a year at that point. In August of 2021, we made reforms to the RER Rapid portal to enable the district offices to have direct access and
What he's saying there, in August of 2021, last year, when things started moving a little bit faster, it's because they gave permission to the local SBA agencies around your area to have access. Whatever they're looking at in the federal level, they can also look at now in the state and local levels to say, okay, we've got all of their information here. They've sent over all the information. They're okay. It's okay for them. They have permission to look at these files now. So if you ever call your local local SBA agent and they say, well, we can't access, well, yes, they can, because he's saying right here, Patrick Kelly, the associate administrator of the Office of Capital Access, says, yes, we've given them permission to access those files. So your local SBA agent now, they kind of pass the buck to the local SBA agents, which makes sense.
Transparency to see whatever the loan officer or any other, processing employee in the PDC in Dallas-Fort Worth could see. That was really critical because it helped expedite casework for your offices, but it empowered them. Silence is deafening. And so if I'm waiting to be invited back into the portal and I don't know, I logically start a new application. Well, the system then detected that you were applying for 2 instances at the same time. So then, of course, you're now on the call center line, right?
And that's funny that he said that, because I remember in the early stages, and he goes on to say it, and I cut that part out, but he goes on to say, yeah, well, we gave them the wrong information. They were not supposed to apply again, but because the SBA agencies were even saying, yes, the SBA was saying, yeah, put in another application. So he even took the heat for that, saying we may have given them the wrong information to do that. And some of you out there may have put in other applications. I think I even put in 2 applications, if I remember right, and they took one out. But they were literally encouraging that in the beginning phases of this SBA loan phase during when COVID first came out. So he took the heat on that one.
In drafting the bipartisan infrastructure bill, Congress very clearly intended that SBA use transfer authority granted by that law to reallocate funds from targeted EIDL grant program to the EIDL Loan program so that businesses who are eligible for that assistance would be able to receive it. Now, in the past, SBA has used that authority. Why was the decision made in this case not to use that authority again?
Mm-hmm. So as we've indicated to the committee, we did use that authority, for example, to process applications that were received on or before May 6th cutoff deadline. So we used both cancellations, which I think Chairman Cardin referenced, as well as funds that we moved in coordination with OMB into that fund. There's no question that communication from center level personnel on an individual basis about funding being exhausted was confusing. However, when we speak to the inventory that we're talking about today, the 41,000, there aren't any instances that would be approved in obligated funds. Those files have been looked at. There has been communication to those borrowers about what was missing, what was insufficient, and in 2/3 of the cases, it is a tax-related issue. So at this point, we would not move funds because we don't see the inventory of demand. And again, the reason that's the case is 92% of that population has had a loan since 2020. And as of April of 2021, with the average increase being $200,000, they could seek a loan increase, and many did. But only 20% of those eligible for an increase ever responded over the course of 15, 16 months, roughly.
I have a hard time believing that. I have a hard time believing that statement. I'm going to go back, but let me just...
With the average increase being $200,000, they could seek a loan increase, and many did. But only 20% of those eligible for an increase ever responded over the course of 15, 16 months, roughly.
I would like to see the books on that. Only 20% of those eligible responded to get that loan. Okay, I'm going to just keep going just in lieu of time, but leave a comment down below. What do you think about that statement that he just made? So
I understand, again, and I want to keep reiterating this, I understand why they are frustrated with the outcome, and, but in terms of the SBA's responsiveness to their petition for an increase, we have given them multiple, in some cases, reconsiderations or appeals, and we are not going to be able to get to yes on their individual file.
I appreciate the effort. I beg to differ on a list of applications that we have worked with our district office on, and while there are some, I don't want to use the word questions, but there are some disparities, but they are in at least one case as simple as an email address that was different. So I guess you haven't convinced me that, and while I recognize that there are some cases that, for various reasons, human error don't get reviewed in the same way that we would all like, I'm still concerned that we have businesses out there that qualify that are not being acknowledged by SBA. So I don't know how to resolve some of those cases, but I do think it's a concern, and it's an ongoing concern. And as Senator Rosen talked about trust, I think that is a real issue that many of our small businesses still have at this point.
I'm going to follow up on some of Senator Shaheen's point. I just want to acknowledge.
I'd have to 100% agree with Shaheen there. I think she knocked the ball out of the park with that statement. For most of this, I trusted Patrick Kelly, what he was saying and how he was, presenting everything. But that particular statement when he says, yeah, well, those 80% of them just didn't want the money. So, we threw them out. So I didn't quite believe that statement, but you never know. I mean, I'd like to see some numbers and I'd like to see some filing on that, but let's go on.
And we really did want to get money out quickly. And we recognized that the verification systems would be lax, because if we had to go through all the verification systems, the businesses would be shuttered and closed for good.
Now, I love what Ben Cardin did here as far as the fraud goes, because the SBA has been focusing so much on the fraud. But I like the part where Ben Cardin here, he hits a home run with this when he says, look, there's fraud out there. We understood fraud was going to happen. It happens. It's not a perfect world. But when it came time to getting those businesses the money, they can't afford to have the SBA worrying about fraud and not giving them their money sometimes you're going to have to just, take a subtract once in a while to make sure that these small businesses don't go under. So I really applaud Ben Cardin for how he addressed the fraud issue here. And I think 99% of Americans would agree with what he's saying about the fraud here. It's common sense, and it was, very, a wise business would even say, okay, well, we're going to have, losses. We have a supply loss, and here's how much we're going to spend on loss for the year, and blah, blah, blah. So that's kind of what he's saying here. We're going to spend money on losses, but we can't afford to miss the big picture by focusing so much on the loss that small businesses are going to go out. But I like the way he said this. Let me know what you think about this statement here.
So we knew that there was going to be some challenges in doing this when we created the program. I'm also going to follow up on Senator Shaheen's points about individuals that are not, they have followed the rules and they haven't gotten the clarity that you've given us today. Mm-hmm. But first, let me just point out on waste, fraud, and abuse, because I agree. Look, we wanted to get money out quickly. We didn't want to see any waste, fraud, or abuse, but we wanted to get money out quickly. And when you look at the size of the PPP program and the EIDL programs and the restaurant program and the shelter venue program, the amount of fraud is very, very small. Mm-hmm. So let's be clear about that. We want to see it at 0%, but the percentages are very, very small. Mm-hmm. And under waste, fraud, and abuse or mistake, a lot of this is not fraud, as you pointed out. And we should recognize that small businesses do not have the same degree of capacity that large companies have. And at times, mistakes are made. Mm-hmm. They're not intended, and we have to correct that. But let's not call it fraud when it's not fraud. So I just really want to clarify those points. So it is clear that the SBA did send out communications saying that applications were being denied because of lack of resources. But as you have clarified today, that is not the case, correct?
Yes. In all of those instances, both of those messages, I believe, were communicated to the borrower.
So now we have 125,000 eligible small businesses that have been informed that they're entitled to receive additional loan money. Mm-hmm. And your testimony today is it's up to those applicants to get the documentation in order to complete the settlement of those loans.
Yeah, well, if that's the case, then I know that most of you out there watching this that are in this loan, looking for a loan increase and haven't gotten it yet, are probably like, I've signed the closing docs. They still haven't given me their money. So where's the money? And why isn't Patrick Kelly taking responsibility for not getting that money out to you? I think is what Ben Cardin is saying.
It's up to any borrowers to close a loan. So they have to sign the note. They have to sign the ancillary documents to the note. So they're not providing any additional documentation for any approval or anything. What we are waiting to, so if you bought a house or remember the big closing table and the big stack like that's what they've got to execute. So they just have.
How many people out there, they got their closing docs, didn't execute it? That doesn't make sense. That right there, I get what he's saying. Yeah, we get those final docs. We all got them. And for those of you who haven't, that are probably like, what's he talking about closing docs for? Or those of you that said, I've gotten mine, I've signed them. And why is there still 125,000 of us still wondering what the heck you're talking about right now? Why are you saying this when that's actually, it doesn't seem to me to be the case, or these loans would have already gone out, at least half of them.
Not done that yet?
Yes, I just really want to emphasize what Senator Shaheen has said. We'll give you chapter and verse. I think we've already given you these cases. We have several that have come to my attention where that's not the case. Where the burden is on the SBA to complete the closing, not on the person. They have done that, and they're still waiting for their checks.
So there's yet another issue with what you just opened up. So I agree that but for the borrower agreeing to take the note, right? So like they have to sign to be the borrower. We're responsible for closing the loans in association with them. So for the 125,000, including with the district offices, we are executing the closing, and it's at the discretion of the borrower to execute that.
So if a borrower is trying to get $100,000 for their business, and they've filled out all this paperwork, and then they sign the final closing docs, the borrower isn't going to sign it? You're telling me the borrower didn't sign it? They changed their mind after doing all that work? They wouldn't. I mean, that right there should let everybody know that something's wrong with that one.
Once they have executed the documents, the money goes on a schedule over to Treasury for the ACH into the designated bank account. There are issues with those bank accounts where the account is located are bouncing back our disbursements. One of the reasons that is cited most often is the opinion of the bank that commercial activity for this account is not recognized, and therefore they are flagging it as suspicious activity.
I understand exactly what you're saying, and I recognize that, and that's one of the points I think some of our colleagues have mentioned. There are better systems out there that would have dealt with it. And we're dealing with two agencies, Treasury and the SBA, and that's a challenge also. My plea to you is provide the leadership and resources to get these resolved.
Yeah.
These are people that are frustrated, they need their money, and they have been given inconsistent information over time. At one point, they thought the money wasn't there.
Ben Cardin took a big issue with the SBA saying the money's not there.
Provide the services they need so we can get that $125,000. Those that want to take out the loan, that they can complete the loan process and stop calling our offices. Would it be very helpful? So appreciate if you would follow up on that.
Yes, and 100%, I hear you, 100%.
And let me let you know, in case you're watching this, Patrick Kelly, we're going to continue calling his office and the other senators' offices if you don't complete what you're saying you're going to do, what he's asking you to do here, because it seems like these senators are listening. They're hearing our phone calls. Their staff is getting annoyed with them, apparently. But you need to pick up the pace there. And
stop calling our offices. Would it be very helpful? So appreciate if you would follow up on that.
Yes, and 100%, I hear you. 100%, we will redouble our efforts. And for all of those bank account bounce, just like the closing, we will work those to completion. So we will work with that particular borrower to get that money, and that money remains theirs even if it bounced back.
Now to the $41,000 potential that
Sure.
We're informed either directly or through communications generally that these loans are unworkable. But unworkable is not denied.
Sure.
Unworkable, I've heard that as well in a lot of those comments that I've gotten. They said my loan was unworkable. Now, unworkable, what you hear Ben saying there, it's not denied. It means that maybe if you did not file your 2019 taxes, yes, it will be denied. But there are other reasons, as she was saying, maybe a misprinted email address or little things like that. It doesn't mean you're denied. So let me just keep going here.
I would just urge you, to those that do have claims that can be adjudicated in a positive way, either a reconsideration or an increased loan amount or whatever.
Here he's even talking about reopening recons or increase, loan amounts. He's even talking about reopening that up for those out there that are still in reconsideration, to maybe even put another reconsideration out, which I like that idea.
Whatever they have filed. But for those that are truly not eligible, you're going to have to bite the bullet and give them a determination so that they can move on or file an appeal. So I don't want you to deny an application that has merit because you want to get it off the books. I'm happy to keep it open if there's a possibility for successful conclusion for the small business owner, but they need to know. There has to be a time.
Yep. So understood. I understand the urgency. I understand what the objective and the mission is.
I like the way Ben said it. Basically he's saying if you're going to deny him, you got to let them know. Just deny him and let them know they're declined for this reason, and give them the reason and tell them you're sorry. And this guy apparently doesn't want to have to do that. I can see it in his face where I have to tell him. So that could mean a lot of nasty emails coming out, and I might be getting a couple of them too, saying they denied me and everybody sucks. But let's move forward. Here's what they're trying to say.
I understand what the objective and the mission is. The one thing that I do want to make the chairman aware of and members is that from the point of first disbursement, a borrower has 24 months to seek a loan increase. So
Here's where you start saying, for 80% of you, you're done. You can't get nothing. But Ben reopens the can of worms.
as of July, 80% of that universe told. So it's August 2nd today. So 80% of that universe can no longer seek a loan increase. By October, that number will be in excess of 90%, and by the end of the year, it'll be zero.
I just point out, I've been told that 24-month period is not statutory. You can waive that 24 months. If you
So the man just said, as of July, the 24-month period is over for 80% of them. Ben's saying, as I understand, you can change that. Now, think about the dates here. May, they said we're out of funds. June, July, that's 2 months. 3 now that we're in August, saying we're out of funds, you're exhausted, don't even try it. So why wouldn't they open it back up for those at least another 2 months for those that they said were out of funds and would no longer continue trying to get their money? So the man stumbled there when he said that, as of, that makes the 24 months. So were they just trying to get to that 24-month period where they can just throw away 80% of these loan increases so that they lose the paper here and go into another area? It's what it sounds like there, Ben. I hope Ben watches this again so we can get...
24-month period is not statutory. You can waive that 24 months if you wanted to.
Sure. I understand the note.
I need to get on the record so I understand. May 6th was the cutoff date for modifications, etc. It could have gone up to July, if I understand correctly, and you could have waived that date and made it later than that. And you put on your website May 6th as the date, quote, due to lack of available funding. We won't argue whether that when the judgment was made, you were rejecting how much monies would be available, etc. You made that judgment. But on the website today, it still says, as of May 6, 2022, SBA is no longer processing COVID-19 EIDL loan increase requests or requests for reconsideration of previously declined loan applications due to the lack of available funding. I would suggest that you may want to modify that, just take off that clause. You're not accepting them, fine. We recognize you've used that date. We may disagree with that. We can have that debate. But clearly funding is available now, and it's misleading to keep that on your website.
Just to reiterate what Ben just said, the SBA website even had on there, due to lack of funding, we're no longer taking loan increase applications or doing reconsiderations or anything like that. So they've misled the American small business owners as far as doing the recons for the last 2 months. And it's still up on their website. Now, after this hearing, I just want to bring one thing up here. After Ben issued this statement, it's been 10 hours or so. I just went onto the website. It's 8 o'clock tonight. Now it's 9, but an hour ago, and it's still here. If I can bring this to your attention. Let me move my head. Notice, as of right now, Ben, in case you're watching, they still haven't taken that down off of the website. It's still up there. It's 8/10/2020, and it says there's no longer processing of COVID-19 EIDL loan increase requests or requests for reconsideration of previously declined loan applications due to the lack of available funding. My arrow is pointing down here. That's the time and date. It's 8/10 there, but it's 9/20 now, and SBA still hasn't taken that down. So if this is a picture of the SBA and how the SBA really listened to the committee, then I think there needs to be some changes made. And this nice gentleman here needs to be aware of what he's actually saying, or what's he trying to pass the buck here. He doesn't want to do these other 80%, maybe 100%. I don't know, but just go forward here.
Second point I would raise, you've indicated during your questioning here that most of the 41,000 will not be able to get to yes, and that there is a concern that the funding could be repurposed. We want to make sure that funding is not a reason for a determination that is pending as of May the 6th.
Yeah, I apologize if I...
How many excuses has Ben Cardin taken away from this guy today? He's taken away a lot of excuses from this guy today, because the SBA, we know, has a short list of excuses that we're used to getting, and Ben Cardin has just pretty much nixed them all and saying, get these people their money.
For determination that is pending as of May the 6th.
Yeah, I apologize if I left that impression that I either misspoke or was not aware. I am keenly aware that that's an appropriations decision. It's a decision for OMB. My position, and I want to make this clear, is that these files were looked at, and I have seen them personally. I've been involved in the day-to-day correspondence, and that we have been responsive. And so I apologize for the confusion.
So no one will be denied who had their applications in prior to May 6th because of lack of funding.
Correct. The denials, the decisions, beginning with their initial denial for most of these instances, beginning way back in 2021, and at the heart of the denials is a disagreement between that particular person about whether or not filing taxes is appropriate or not. And I understand the frustration here, and I understand why that person, because they got the loan originally with no taxes. They didn't file, and they got a loan from the federal government in 2020. And so I understand why when they speak to people, including me,
I just want to make it clear that any of the pending applications, if they are meritorious, they'll be funded. The money is there, that the funds are there. Yeah, I want to make sure we take care of the $41,000 and the $125,000, but it seems to me we could have had a longer off-ramp on this, on the applications for increased funds. We very much appreciate your time and your explanations and your service to our country. I just want to make it clear that any of the pending
I would just like to make it clear, Ben, that you did a fantastic job there, and I want to make it clear to all of the viewers out there that if you are in EIDL Loan reconsideration, remember everything that was said here and spoken about. Remember, you can tell this to your SBA agent. Well, Ben Cardin spoke to Patrick Kelly, and they both have said that the money is there. So find out from your SBA agent, because the local SBA agent will be able to do more for you than the federal one maybe at this point in time, because they can access your information. They can get that. So call your local SBA agent. Some might want to wait on this to see if the emails start coming out saying, hey, your funds are here, or you need to do this, because the pressure's just been put on Patrick Kelly and the SBA to get this done for the $125,000 that are out there, along with the $41,000. Now, the $41,000, they're saying 2/3 of them didn't do their taxes. So about 2/3 of that $41,000, so we'll say about $15,000, will be getting the money. About $30,000 or so, around there, will not. So that kind of sucks for those that did not file taxes in 2019. But if you didn't file taxes for your business in 2019, it's hard to be... basically, like he said, it's fraud. If you didn't file taxes in 2019, then you say, hey, I want tax money for my business in 2019 that I didn't file taxes for. Yeah, you might not want to even open that bucket of worms for yourself, because that is fraud. And I don't condone any fraud here on this channel. We're here to get those small businesses money, legitimate small businesses, not fake small businesses. You guys go somewhere else. We got enough spam and scam down in the comments below with the spammers and scammers and the IG hackers this and hacker that. So don't be careful not to respond to them. But guys, remember, like you said, call your SBA agent, get in touch with them, and give them the information that you've gotten here today, that the money is there. If they say lack of funds, nah, we're not buying that excuse anymore. We're not buying a lot of your excuses anymore. I'm legit. I've done everything I need to do. If I need to do anything else, let me know. You got hope again. Here it is. And once again, I would like to give a shout out to Jason McElholm, who I know he gets hoarded sometimes for, oh, you're clickbait. There's no more money. You're just saying that. No, I get comments from people watching these videos all the time. Hey, guess what? I got paid, Speak. I got my money, and I'll get up online and, hey, guess what, guys? People are getting paid. We're seeing a lot of loan increases coming through now, and I'll get a few comments that are like, oh, you're lying, man, because the funds are exhausted. There's no more funds. Talk to the SBA. I got an email. We're not lying. It's true. Their funds are there for the people who have put in loan increases, and they're put aside for you if you're still in the queue of getting a loan increase. So clarity is what we're all looking for. Clarity, straight up answers, and straight up honesty and truth. Most of we can get from the government anyway, right? Would help. So let me know how you all feel about this, and can somebody say hey?